let me ask you, because yesterday, obviously, 100th day, a couple of people were talking about it. What's the state of play right now? There's always a back and forth, and there'll be more back and forth as we move forward. But where do the Democrats, where do the Republicans stand in terms of confidence on whether Trump's going to be stopped or whether everything he's done the first 2 years are going to be validated?
I think if you looked over the course of this year, people broadly think Democrats are likely to retake control of the House. Still kind of a coin toss in the Senate. About a month ago, you heard Republicans getting sort of this surge of optimism that maybe they could hold on, that the economic news and some other things, and Trump not having created, at least by his standards, too much chaos for them, that things were kind of swinging a little bit back in Republicans' direction. And then Helsinki happened, the separations of families on the borders happened, other things that kind of blotted out all of the kinds of things Republicans want to talk about. They all came to the forefront, and now today, Democrats incredibly confident, optimistic, and Republicans privately back to pessimism and thinking the House is probably gone, and we maybe can hold on to the Senate, but the blue wave feels stronger now than it did 30 days ago.
It does. And think about the three things that have happened in the past 30 days. First of all, North Korea has gone south. Pompeo, Secretary of State Pompeo, admitting that the North Koreans haven't slowed down, and in fact, they may be creating more secret sites to build nuclear weapons. So that North Korea deal went down the drain. John already talked about Helsinki. And lying over all of this, and I know this is something that you'll relate to very much, after Katrina, there were so many evangelicals who I went to church with that we'd do daily reliefs after Katrina over to Mississippi and Louisiana. And they were shattered. Their faith in George W. Bush were shattered by what they saw on the ground in Mississippi and Louisiana, that nothing was being done. Well, the question, where are the children, that Mika's repeated over and over and again. I'm hearing from evangelicals that have supported him. This is not who we are.
Well, and you can hear about the Russia investigation constantly, but in my opinion, that's not going to move voters. But my mom, my sister-in-law, they voted for Trump. They do not like these babies who are separated from their parents. And that's a story that is just an albatross, as it should be. I mean, torturing children on the border of our great nation. And it's something that Donald Trump can't run away from.
But they can vote according to their pocketbooks, Steve Ratner. And for that, many are doing, you would say, pretty well.
Well, I mean, in fact, Don Jr. said...
Don Jr.'s doing
Don Jr.'s busy, but Don Jr. said, then I've heard other Trump people say this too, that Barack Obama never even got above 2 percentage points for one quarter. Isn't that amazing? Well, and Donald Trump got 4.1. I mean, never.
We're going to do a little fact check on that, but the fact is that Obama got above 4%, I think, in 3 quarters. But look, the tax cut is still incredibly unpopular. Only a minority of Americans support it, and there's a story on the front page of the Times today about how the Republicans are not really even campaigning on it. And also remember, and John Heilman will know more about this than I do, but I think there's 42 open Republican seats now, something like that, not running for re-election. You know how hard it is to flip an incumbent. So now these are open seats that the Democrats can take on in the House.
And you've got Dana Rohrabacher, John Meacham running too, and if he would just stop speaking Russian, maybe the Republicans could hold that seat down too. Devin Nunes putting a hammer and sickle in the O of the GOP, that's sort of distracting. There are a lot of people that even are incumbents that are facing a tougher time than they thought. But, you know, it's really interesting. We always say that people vote their pocketbooks, and I've been saying this for a very long time, that they don't in off-year elections. And we'll see what the 4.1 is in the third quarter. Most economists say it's going to go back down significantly. But we shall see. But, you know, in '94, Bill Clinton had a great economy, but he was seen as out of the touch with the mainstream of America, and there's a massive Republican tidal wave. 2006, the economy was going pretty darn well, but again, that was post-Katrina. That was in the middle of Iraq. Nancy Pelosi became Speaker of the House. People don't always vote their pocketbook. In midterm elections, often they vote in reaction to what they've seen in the past 2 years on cultural issues or even a leadership style.
Yeah, I mean, the political science on this is always pretty clear, which is it is a base-motivated election. The economy, I think, is pretty safe to say, is much more a driver in a presidential year. My own view, with no evidence whatever, so nothing new there, is that the approval rating, the Trump job approval rating, probably has 7 or 8 points, maybe even a little bit more, of what I think of as 401k Trumpers right now. I think there are people who are looking at their statements, people who are on the right side of the economic equation anyway. They see their numbers going up for all sorts of reasons. And so they're willing to not really dive into this Russian novel story that no one can quite figure out. And they're willing to suspend bizarrely in my view, but they are willing to suspend their ordinary moral judgments about how this president conducts himself and is now representing us on the world stage. But I would not, if I were in the White House, count on that lasting until 2020.
No, we'll see. And Joe, your latest column in the Washington Post really speaks to this. It's entitled, "Trump Finally Feels Gravity's Unforgiving Pull," and reads in part, quote, this: "Trump's stunning victory created such disorienting shockwaves across Washington that neither Democrats nor Republicans understood what the accidental president admitted to me a month after his win. The election could have been held 20 different times, but that was probably the one day I would have won," the president-elect said in December of 2016. Everything came together at once. The resulting political horror show, produced daily by Trump, has left journalists and politicians reeling, but has failed to alter a few basic rules of politics. First, presidents with approval ratings in the low 40s lose their majorities in Congress. Second, kowtowing to ex-KGB agents erodes support with registered independents. Third, lying about payoffs to a porn star and a Playboy model rarely helps with swing state voters. Republicans hoping to save themselves from the political storm that will soon wipe away their congressional majorities would be well served to speak out against Trump's most destructive policies, which are anti-conservative, illiberal, and sure to bring doom to the once grand old party.
Well,
Party could be over.
No.
It could be.
First of all, John, I'm very humbled to have my piece read on The Morning Joe.
Well,
That's just pride of
good
place.
piece.
It is.
Your name
It
is
spoke
the
to what
Joe
we were
in Morning
talking
Joe,
about.
though, right?
Always.
This is your show. I mean,
that how we
two of yours,
swing it?
but Morning Joe, that's you.
Yeah,
Well-
we'll be playing my music going.
So it's good that you get your pieces on your show.
I also am Mika.
You got a lot of pull with the guys who run the place.
Some cleaning products
Yeah.
that we'll be selling for a half hour. No, that was somebody else who did that. It does. It seems that Trump's victory was so shocking that I think a lot of pundits, a lot of politicians, I think a lot of Republicans have overstated his strength and his magical powers, his gravity-defying political powers. But at the end of the day, this man is still a 40% president. Show me a 40% president, and I will show you a loser. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
I will show me a candidate that has 40. By the way, his reelect, according to the latest NBC Marist polls, his reelect in Michigan, I believe, is 28%.
Yeah.
In Wisconsin, it's 31%. Show me a guy with a 30% reelect. I will show you a loser, somebody that loses midterms, and somebody that loses a reelection. I just think too often people overstate his political strength because they were so shocked that he won last time.
Well, yeah. Look, I mean, I think the shock is one thing. I think the degree to which his behavior and the ways in which he's departed from Republican orthodoxy, the various ways in which he's thrown Washington into chaos, the fact that his base, which is not 42%, but his base is about 35 or something, right?
Right.
The fact that those people are immovable even in the face of things that so many people object to strenuously, causes us also to over-focus on the potency of the base. And in the end, it's great to have a potent base. Barack Obama rested on his base. Donald Trump rests on his base, and both of their bases are rock solid. Right. But again, 35, you're a loser. And even if you get those extra ones that Meacham's talking about, you push up to 40, 41, which is where he is right now. Historically speaking, that's a disaster for an in-party president. 40% approval rating. You're just going to get wiped out in the midterms if everything that we know from history holds true again.
John Meacham, my dad supported Richard Nixon and supported Richard Nixon until the final week. And we were taught growing up that Walter Cronkite was a communist, though my dad watched him every day and loved him. And when he said that's the way it was, he believed that's the way it was. But he still believed that it was all a plot by the Washington Post and the New York Times and Walter Cronkite and the mainstream media to take Richard Nixon down, who they hated ever since Alger Hiss. And I remember the morning in 1974 where my dad was reading the newspaper, and it's just like the scales fell off of his eyes all at once. And he may have said a couple of words that I can't repeat here. The second one was, damn it. And then he said, if this man, and by the way, this is a guy my dad had worshipped since '52, he said, if this man has done 1/3 of what they're saying he has done, he should be thrown in jail tomorrow. This is a disgrace. But he said that, broken. But after the tapes, there was no denying that Richard Nixon had acted abhorrently.
Well, this is the week. We're in the anniversary period between the Supreme Court decision in which Nixon had to turn over everything. He turns over the smoking gun tape where he's ordering the CIA to block the FBI from investigating Watergate, a conversation that took place, I think, on June 23rd, so within a week of the break-in. And we forget, because in our movie tone vision of history, we naturally telescope everything. And so we think, all right, break in, Robert Redford had something to do with it, Jason Robards is involved, and then Nixon gets on the helicopter, right? I mean, that's kind of the popular version of Watergate. Maybe Howard Baker pops in if you're from Tennessee. What really happened was 27 months elapsed. Congressional investigation, federal investigations, 2 special prosecutors, Saturday Night Massacre, tapes dribble out, phrases like expletive deleted enter the conversation. And the fabled moment, which is very big right now among sort of the NPR left in the country, is, which I love, is there are a lot of liberals now who are saying, where is Barry Goldwater when we need him? Which is just, we should all retire, because people are saying that. What they mean is that Goldwater and Hugh Scott and John Rhodes went down to the White House and they told Nixon that he had to go. They did it on August 5th. After the tape came out, and then Nixon's gone by the 8th. So these things take time. I suspect your dad's expletive deleted remarks probably happened about this point in the summer of '74. Last thing quickly, to John's point, 34, 35%. That was Joe McCarthy's national approval rating after the Army McCarthy hearings. If they take Trump back to Moscow in an orange jumpsuit, 35% of the country is going to be with him. That's just the way American politics works.
And here's part of the problem. One of the president's Republican allies, Congressman Darrell Issa, says he doesn't think Republicans will pay the price in the fall if the president is proven to have lied about the Trump Tower meeting.
If he's proven to have not told the whole truth about the fact that campaigns look for dirt, and if someone offers it, you listen to them, nobody's going to be surprised. There are some things in politics that you just take for granted.
So you don't think this has any long-term impact? And he wouldn't be the first politician or president, for that matter, to maybe misrepresent things, and he gets over it.
Well, you know, businessmen listen to almost everyone that might be helpful. Yeah. And by the way, they make pragmatic decisions about how to make bad stories go away.
Darrell Issa.
Why?
Darrell Issa, not my dad. In that case, first of all, we're going to go around the table here because this is so extraordinary. Even in my little office as a member of Congress, if somebody come to my chief of staff and said, hey, the Russian government or the Iranian government has some dirt on your opponent, my chief of staff would have said, hey, listen, we'll get back to you in a couple of days. What's your name again? What's your phone number? We'll call you back. Would immediately call the FBI. Would immediately call the FBI. This is not a close call. Anybody out there thinking that if you listen to Darrell Issa, if that's what Darrell Issa thinks, holy cow, that is condemning. And here they keep moving the goalposts for Donald Trump. They're lying about Donald Trump. Donald Trump didn't know. Okay, now if Donald Trump knew, what's the big deal? No, nobody does this. Nobody's ever done this. Nobody has ever done this that I know of, has gotten dirt on an opponent from a sworn enemy. Russia, Iran, you name it.
Never seen it in now almost, unfortunately, 30 years I've been doing this and covering Republicans and Democrats in the presidential races and other races. The thing I want to say about Darrell Issa, though, that just goes to the thing he's saying here, which is that Republicans aren't going to pay the price if it turns out that Donald Trump is lying. I just want to say, just like, actions speak a lot louder than words. Darrell Issa is retiring from Congress, right? So he can spin a rosy scenario for how Republicans are going to not pay any price for Donald Trump's behavior, but it seems like on the basis of his own political calculations of what was going to happen in his district, he may have had a different view about what the bloodbath is going to look like this fall.
And Donald Trump has already lied, Steve Ratner, about Russian agents coming to his office. Donald Trump has already masterminded the cover-up on Air Force One, where he lied and said that the meeting was about adoption, which, by the way, saw over the weekend a prosecutor say this is perfect to show the guilt, the conscious guilt at the time that something big happened in that room, because you wouldn't lie about it if it was innocent.
Sure, but look, I think one of the problems we have here a little bit is it's a bit of a he said, she said. Giuliani was on one of the Sunday shows yesterday basically saying there's 5 people who are going to say Donald Trump did not know about this Russian meeting up against Michael Cohen. You know, I was working in the Washington Bureau of the New York Times in the summer of 1974, and so I was sort of watching all this. And Meacham can contradict me, but in my recollection, the tapes were the defining moment.
Right.
Because you heard him on tape saying this stuff. Now, maybe Michael Cohen has tapes that will be equally condemning, but so far I don't think we've quite seen them. And so he's been able to wiggle and twist and worm his way out of every box people have tried to put him in so far.
So, but Elise, for Darrell Issa, what's the end game for saying something like that? I mean, it's obviously, clearly, something you wouldn't want to support, the president lying about a meeting.
Lobbying money.
With Russian agents.
Their own personal self-interest constantly. That's all we see on display consistently among Republicans who are choosing to prop up these lies and to devalue truth and factual accuracy in the American public. And it's really disgusting. I can't believe that we're at the phase where, you know, the $12 billion bailout for agriculture because of a dumb policy decision, and all of these so-called fiscal conservatives can just get behind it because they're going to go with Trump no matter what. And we're just seeing where people really do not stand for much except the ideology of power.
So think about that really quickly. Again, in Ron Johnson, I can't believe I'm quoting Ron Johnson, given the fact that he is back down to Donald Trump time and time again. But Ron Johnson correctly said this is Soviet-era style economics, where you first of all adopt a Stalin 5-year foreign policy, the 5-year plan, right? And you have tariffs, you destroy the economy, and then you come in behind it. And after destroying the economy for these farmers, you then prop them up with a $12 billion centralized state payoff. After, I just gotta say, a lot of farmers are already subsidized, like the big farm interests. So this is subsidy on top of subsidy on top of subsidy.
But we've got to cut the deficit, Joe.
Right.
There's a lot of serious deficit hawks in Washington these days.
Absolutely none.
All right, still ahead. Steve alluded to it a few moments ago. We've got a full fact check of the president's economic claims that he made, and some of it starts with a simple Google search.
By the way, why don't my friends and family just turn on the Google machine?
Because
just crank it up
as
in the
Elise
backyard.
just said,
Crank up the
truth
Google machine.
has been devalued, and people must not care.
But this is
And
what I don't.
that's what this
but
president
Mika,
has
I don't
done.
understand. So many of his lies, so many of his claims, can be completely blown out of the water with 30 seconds. And just, again, borrow your neighbor's Google machine.
They don't care.
30 seconds. And it is a proven lie. And by the way, from 1,000 different accurate sources.
This president
don't even have
started
to do a
off
lot of
by
searches.
saying, look at my crowd size. It's the biggest one when it was clearly the smallest.
It's sort of like in
And
the
people
autofill
didn't care.
when you type in
But,
Trump lie on whatever, it just pops
I
right
give
up.
Trump this, though. He can sail, when he puts his mind to it, he's a master messenger, and he has branded the media as the enemy of the people and took it up with the publisher of the New York Times. And so when
That's
he's
right.
at the stage where he is comparing the U.S. press, the free press, to an enemy on the level of ISIS or Al-Qaeda, that's a real problem for truth and accuracy.
You are absolutely right.
Again, the truth is 30 seconds away. Check out Google. Check out Yahoo.
care.
Check out what other search site?
Gotta care.
MSN, of course.
We'll
yes.
get into the New York Times aspect of this story in just a moment.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.